Nora Benshoof is an American retired professional wrestler. She is best known for her appearances with the World Wrestling Federation World Wrestling Entertainment from 2000 to 2005 under the ring name Molly Holly. She is also known for her appearances with World Championship Wrestling as Miss Madness in 1999 to 2000. Holly began her professional wrestling career in WCW, where she also worked as a trainer. In 2000, Greenwald debuted in the then-WWF as part of the Holly Cousins stable, an alliance of storyline cousins. She was later aligned with a Hurricane. During her time with the WWF WWE, Holly held the WWF Hardcore Championship once and the WWE Women's Championship twice. Early life: Greenwald was born to parents Rick and Bonnie Greenwald. She has two brothers, Luke who lives in Utah and Chauncey who is a dental hygienist. Growing up, Greenwald had no plans to be a wrestler, but she claims to have wanted to be on American Gladiators for a while. She trained to be a powerlifter from age 14 to age 18, and at age 14, she broke the Minnesota State powerlifting record for her age group by lifting 100 pounds. She also trained as a gymnast. Later, she began wrestling for fun, not because she wanted to be on TV. After she graduated from Forest Lake Area High School in 1996, Nora left home with $200 and a '65 Oldsmobile, which she drove from Minnesota to Florida. Before training as a wrestler, Greenwald was employed at a Subway restaurant and as a telemarketer for special data processing. While working at Subway, it was suggested to Nora that she try out for wrestling, and out of curiosity, she did. Professional wrestling career: early career, Greenwald began training as a wrestler under Dean Malenko in Tampa, Florida in 1997. She debuted on August 2, 1997 in the World Professional Wrestling Federation under the ring name Starla Saxton. Greenwald wrestled on the independent circuit throughout 1997 and 1998, winning 2 championships. On August 21, 1998 she defeated Malia Hosaka to win the New Dimension Wrestling Women's title, but lost it 1 day later back to Hosaka. She appeared with both World Championship Wrestling and the World Wrestling Federation as Starla Saxton, unsuccessfully challenging Jacqueline for the WWF Women's Championship on an October 1998 episode of Sunday Night Heat and on an episode of the UK version of Shotgun. In late 1999, she briefly feuded with Brandi Alexander while wrestling in the Florida independent circuit. World Championship Wrestling. She debuted in WCW as Miss Madness, one of Randy Savage's valets along with Gorgeous George and Medusa. Savage asked Greenwald and Medusa to train his then-girlfriend Gorgeous George in real life, highlights of which were shown on WCW television. As part of the storyline, this villainous alliance, called Team Madness, would interfere in matches for the benefit of Savage. Behind the scenes, Nora and Medusa trained the other women of WCW at the WCW power plant. Eventually, Savage betrayed Miss Madness by firing her from Team Madness along with Medusa after a championship loss. She then became Mona, a fan favorite, who wrestled in a blue cocktail dress and barefoot. She embarked on mini feuds with Medusa, Little Jeannie, and Asaya. Independent female wrestlers, such as Dee Venturi and Brandi Alexander, were also brought in to wrestle Mona. WCW released Greenwald, however, in August 2000 in a cost-cutting move. World Wrestling Federation/Entertainment, Lady Ophelia, upon signing a contract with the World Wrestling Federation, she was sent to their training ground in Memphis Championship Wrestling to work offering Rust. She became the manager of William Regal and was known as Lady Ophelia. While there, she squared off against the Cat, Bobcat, and Victoria. In 2000, she reappeared in the World Wrestling Federation under the Lady Ophelia gimmick, wrestling dark matches and valeting for William Regal. The Holly Cousins. Greenwald, however, had her first major run in the company as Molly Holly, where she joined her on-screen cousins Bob Holly and Crash Holly. At the time, the Holly Cousins were involved in a feud with T&A. Greenwald admits that Stratus was one of her favorite people with whom to work. Molly's arrival on the November 6, 2000 edition of Raw started a short feud with Stratus, leading to her first televised victory over Stratus in a six-person intergender tag team match at the Survivor Series. In a match between Crash Holly and Dean Malenko, Molly distracted the referee by standing on the ring apron, interfering on Crash's behalf. Malenko then forcefully kissed Molly, annoying her, who later helped out Crash by debuting her Molly Go-Round finisher on Malenko and enabling Crash to win. In 2001, Molly formed an on-screen relationship with Spike Dudley, in the midst of their storyline rivalry between her cousins and Spike's brothers. In interviews in subsequent years, Greenwald recalled the relationship with Spike Dudley as the best time of her career. A subsequent fallout between her and Crash even led to an intergender singles match, with Molly pinning Crash. Mighty Molly. Women's Champion. In September 2001, Molly dumped Spike to become Mighty Molly, the superhero sidekick of the Hurricane. Molly, however, eventually left the Hurricane to become a full-time solo wrestler, taking his Hardcore Championship after whacking him with a frying pan at WrestleMania X8 on March 17, 2002 in Toronto. She promptly lost it to Christian an hour later after getting a door slammed in her face. After splitting up with the Hurricane in April 2002, she returned to her previous ring name, Molly Holly. Upon her return to the newly renamed World Wrestling Entertainment, she drastically changed her look by shortening her trademark blonde hair and darkening it to autumn brown. Greenwald's reasoning behind this was that it fit her new character better. Greenwald adopted a villainous, self-righteous prude character, who was appalled by the other WWE divas continually using their assets, and degrading themselves. During this gimmick, she would often refer to herself as being pure and wholesome. This led to a feud with the then women's champion Trish Stratus, which culminated in her winning the championship at King of the Ring in June 2002. During the feud, Jerry Lawler also began to poke fun at Greenwald, which Greenwald later revealed genuinely hurt her feelings. Greenwald, however, initially did not mind the storyline when Stephanie McMahon approached her with the idea. The feud with Stratus continued for several months, and Molly later brought in Victoria as an enforcer to help deal with Trish. She would finally drop the title back to Stratus at Unforgiven in September. Greenwald earned her second women's championship by defeating Gail Kim on Raw on July 28, 2003. Kim later became a villainess and joined Greenwald in her feud with Stratus. During an attack on Stratus, Lita made her return, helping Trish fend off her attackers. Greenwald and Kim then lost a tag team match to Lita and Trish at Unforgiven, sparking a feud with Lita. This feud led to a match against Lita at Survivor Series for the women's title, which Greenwald retained. Sporadic appearances and departure. Greenwald lost her championship to Victoria in a four-way elimination match on February 23, 2004. The feud led to a hair versus title match at WrestleMania 20 in March 2004, which Greenwald lost, resulting in Greenwald having her head shaved. Greenwald maintains that it was her idea to have her head shaved, suggesting the idea to Vince McMahon months before the match occurred because of her having cancer and she wanted to do something shocking at WrestleMania. Over the next few months, in storyline, she desperately tried to disguise her bald head using loose-fitting wigs. Later in 2004, she feuded with Stacy Keibler, with Keibler pinning Holly on 3 consecutive occasions, the last one occurring in a number 1 contenders match. Greenwald's final WWE pay-per-view appearance occurred at Taboo Tuesday in 2004 as she appeared in the Fulfill Your Fantasy Battle Royal along with many other WWE divas. The fans voted online for the divas to wear schoolgirl uniforms, as opposed to French maid or nurse outfits. In contrast to the other girls who wore sexy schoolgirl uniforms, Greenwald wore a demure 1980s-style schoolgirl uniform with large pink panties underneath. Greenwald failed to win the match when Stratus eliminated her by tossing her through the ropes for the win. Greenwald's efforts in subsequent attempts to regain the title failed. Due to several wrestlers from the company's women's division being released in late 2004 and the introduction of the Raw Diva Search program, Greenwald was mostly left off television, only occasionally appearing on Sunday Night Heat and Raw in losing efforts to the likes of Lita, Victoria, Trish Stratus, and Christy Hemme. She left WWE and a full-time wrestling career in April 2005. Reportedly, she was beginning to become disenchanted with WWE, who began to focus on looks rather than wrestling ability. She also hated that her character had become a villain, but that is not the direct cause of her leaving the company. Greenwald, however, stated that all of the aforementioned reasons are incorrect, but she would like to keep the real reason she left WWE private. She decided to take a break from WWE and spend some time with her family and enjoy life. Part-time appearances. Since leaving WWE in April 2005, Greenwald has made occasional appearances with the company. On December 2007, at the Raw 15th anniversary, she appeared in a backstage segment with William Regal, Mickie James and Hornswoggle. She was in attendance at the 2008 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony in Orlando, Florida and was backstage at WrestleMania XXIV at the Citrus Bowl the next night. On the March 31 episode of Raw she returned with many other past wrestlers to applaud Ric Flair and his career. On April 5, 2009, at WrestleMania XXV, Molly made a one-night return to WWE, competing in the 25 Diva Battle Royal to crown Miss WrestleMania, in her Holly Cousin attire. Independent circuit. On November 20, 2005, Greenwald made her first public appearance since her WWE departure at Northern Impact Wrestling's first ever card at the Veterans of Foreign Wars Hall in her hometown of Forest Lake, Minnesota. She signed autographs and sold copies of her DVD. On January 8, 2006 in Amory, Wisconsin, Greenwald made her first in-ring appearance in 9 months, appearing with Northern Impact Wrestling, a local Minnesota-Wisconsin wrestling promotion. In addition to refereeing a match between Rain and Ann Throcksh, Greenwald counted the pin for the main event match between Team Revolution and Team Invasion. She went on to referee an Impact Zone wrestling match on February 14, 2006 in Tempe, Arizona and an XJAM wrestling match on February 16, 2006 in Minot, North Dakota, where she challenged Ann Throcksh to wrestle her, with Ann Throcksh refusing. On April 8, 2006, Greenwald appeared at the German Stampede Wrestling event International Impact 3 in Olsberg, Germany, commentating on a match along with former Pro Wrestling Illustrated senior editor Bill Apter and refereeing a women's match. In subsequent months, she made appearances at several independent wrestling events. On October 7, 2006, Greenwald returned to in-ring action for the first time since April 2005 by defeating Johnny Fairplay after a quick low blow and pinfall in a WCWA event. Nora returned to several events as guest referee or for autograph signings. She first refereed an intergender match between Cassie Summers and Sato Hayashi for WWF Championship Wrestling on July 13, 2007 in McMinnville, Oregon, then was guest referee in a match between Ann Throcksh and TNA's Christy Hemme for Heavy on Wrestling in Superior, Wisconsin on July 21. She appeared with Billy Kidman at an autograph signing during Family Fun Day in her hometown of Linwood Township on September 8, one day after celebrating her 30th birthday. Greenwald is one of the stars of the wrestling documentary, Bloodstained Memoirs. Personal life. In 2002, Greenwald competed on a special WWF Superstars edition of Fear Factor, where she was eliminated in the second round. She won $10,000 for Prison Fellowship Ministries. In August 2005, she released an autobiographical DVD entitled Nora Greenwald, Shootin' the She Crap that detailed the reasons behind her departure. A portion of the profits from the sale of the DVD went to the education fund of the daughter of Mike Lockwood, her one-time on-screen cousin, after his death. After leaving the wrestling business, Greenwald has made sporadic wrestling appearances, acts as a landlady with regards to her property holdings, invests in real estate, and performs charity work. On December 16, 2006, Nora went to Guatemala for several months to learn Spanish and do missions work. In addition, she took public speaking classes and earned a license in massage therapy. Greenwald now works for Minnesota Teen Challenge, a one-year residential drug and alcohol rehabilitation program. She joined the program because at least 10 of her friends have died because of drug overdoses. Greenwald, a born-again Christian, ministers to the women in the program. In January 2009, Greenwald participated in the Polar Bear Plunge, where she voluntarily submerged herself in freezing water to raise money for the Special Olympics Minnesota. She has also been a bus aide for special needs children and worked with recovering addicts at Teen Challenge. In July 2010, she announced her engagement to Nora Benshoof, whom she met while working as a teen counselor. The couple were married in the backyard of Benshoof's parents' house in White Bear Lake, Minnesota on July 22, 2010. In wrestling, finishing moves, Molly Go Round, Innovated, Twin City Twister. Signature moves, arm wringer, double wrist clutch, sometimes into a pin, handspring back elbow smash, Indian deathlock, missile dropkick, multiple suplex variations, belly to back, bridging German, gut wrench, snap, double wrist lock bridging Northern Lights. Tilt-a-whirl head scissors takedown, sometimes to an oncoming opponent. Wrestlers managed: Spike Dudley, Crash Holly, Hardcore Holly, The Hurricane, Gail Kim, William Regal, Randy Savage, Great Muta. Championships and accomplishments: New Dimension Wrestling, NDW Women's Championship. World Professional Wrestling Federation, WWF Women's Championship. Women's Superstars Uncensored, WSU Hall of Fame. World Wrestling Federation/World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE Women's Championship, WWF Hardcore Championship. Luchas de Apuestas. References. External links. Official website, WWE Alumni Profile, Molly Holly at the Internet Movie Database.